Assalamualaikum.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله
وعليكم
وبركاته.
السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Good afternoon to all the participants of today's class. I would like to welcome all of you to our first class of guest lecture 2024. I hope all the participants is eager to keep up with today's class and the upcoming guest lecture too. So before we start, allow me to introduce myself as today's Master of Ceremony. I am Abdullah, undergraduate student of Information System Batch 2022, Airlangga University. On the upcoming hours, I will be guiding the rundown of today's class. The rundown consists of networking and cybersecurity course explained by our special speaker, followed by Q&A sessions and symbolic handover of certificate to our speaker, photo sessions, and finally, at the end of the class, there will be a presence and feedback form that will be shared in the chat box. The form must be filled in order to receive an e-certificate of today's guest lecture and will be sent to each of participant email. So, ladies and gentlemen, in today's interconnected world, it is very important, especially in our information system major, to understand about computer networking and cybersecurity. Thus, the topic of today's guest lecture is authentication protocols at different OSI layers. And before going into the lecture, first let me introduce our guest speaker today. Here in our Zoom meeting also, Associate Professor Dr. Abdullah Mohammed Almuhaideb through his curriculum vitae. For the committee, the platform is yours. Maybe you can show the curriculum vitae. So Dr. Abdullah Mohammed Almuhaideb is
Yes.
the Dean of College.
Yes, you may proceed.
Thank you, sir. Okay. So allow me to introduce Mr. Dr. Abdullah through his CV. So Dr. Abdullah is the Dean of College Computer Science and Information Technology, Imam Abdulrahman bin Faisal University, Dammam, Saudi Arabia. Dr. Abdullah is a PhD in Information Security in Monash University, Australia, with research title Secure Mobile Authentication in Abacus Networking Environment in the domain of published scientific researches. Dr. Abdullah produced his latest research with the title Design Recommendation for Get Security System and Health Status, a Systematic Review, and other 33 scientific achievements. Dr. Abdullah is also awarded with certain honors. For example, in 2023, Cyber IC Innovation Program Diamond Award by National Cybersecurity Authority, NCA and NIOM, and also Excellence in Research Award by University of Sharjah. And there are a lot more to say about his achievement if we view through Dr. Abdullah curriculum vitae. So I hope the participant here is eager to learn with such amazing speaker we have here. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Professor Dr. Abdullah Mohammed Almuhaideb. Good afternoon, Professor. It's currently 1 p.m. in Indonesia.
Yes, good afternoon, and thanks for the invitation. And this is the morning time here in Saudi. About 4 hours.
Good morning then.
So thank you. Good morning. I would like to thank the Dean of the college for inviting me to this guest lecture, and hopefully will provide some useful information to the audience. I believe there is an echo, so maybe we can mute the mics if you see it's appropriate. So the topic for this lecture is I put it a bit wider. So I put an introduction to network security, but we'll focus on authentication protocols at different OSI layers. So the security will be the network security cover different layers, and we'll try to touch them. I know that I have been informed that the audience have a good background in computer networks. So hopefully this topic also will be interesting to them. I believe thank you for the introduction, but I may also highlight some background for the audience to know more about me. So I have graduated from King Faisal University with a Bachelor of Computer Information System, and that was back in 2003, so almost 20 years ago. And after that, I continue my master in Monash University in network security, and also have done my PhD. So the master I finished in 2007 and the PhD 2013. Currently associate professor in information security, and also I am the supervisor of Saudi Aramco Cybersecurity Chair and the Dean of Computer Science at Imam Faisal University. During my work with the students, I managed to publish 2 patents, and there is a third one in the way, and also more than 60 scientific papers, journals, and conferences. I've continued to my PhD study. I am interested in ubiquitous wireless access network and ubiquitous security and authentication and identification. Also, I am honored to receive the University President's Award for the highly active researcher at the university colleges. For more information, you may also found it in the website. I would like also this session to be interactive. So if there is any question, any also comments, please, you are free and welcome to interrupt. Would like to be two-way lecture, and hopefully that will benefit all. So our topic, so let's also give it a bit one step back. So we'll try to look at the cybersecurity. This is now the domain that concern the government, the companies, the individual, and it's good, I believe, to prepare a very skilled people that could help at all levels. So, if the sound clear?
Yes, Professor, it's clear.
That's good. So when we talk about cybersecurity, usually there is a term called defense in depth. So security is not one solution. You need to secure at different levels. So here we have security we start with the policy, procedure, and awareness, and then we try to secure the physical layer, the network layer, the computer layer, application, and the device. So we start with the wider, and then we go for more specific and narrow down to the more specific. So you cannot say that I'm going to secure the network or the device and that's it. You will be vulnerable to attacks. So you need to have a defensive depth and holistic approach to cybersecurity. I believe we'll focus more today about the network, but also I encourage you, if you are interested in cybersecurity, to cover the other layers. I believe start with the policy, procedure, and awareness, the governance layer, and then I believe you go down. And there is also a bit major in cybersecurity for bachelor, for master, and also if you want to continue for your PhD. So we'll touch about the network security, about the encryption, some of the also the access control. I believe the rest, I believe this will be covered maybe in another if you can explore it if you are interested in these topics as well. So when you talk about network security, you try to secure the layers. So we start with a brief the physical layer, but that's and again this another physical security a brief let's say major. So we'll focus today about the data link layer, the network, the transport, and the application. And we try to highlight why it's important to provide security at these different layers. Because securing one layer will not be enough to give you the complete or the comprehensive or security any requirements. But if we try to look at these layers, let's look at your mobile device. As a physical layer, you need to put the PIN code to secure your mobile. If your mobile has been stolen, you need to be able to secure your mobile or the data in your mobile from the theft, and that's called the physical layer. Then you need to secure your mobile to the access control, or to the if we are using the 5G or using the Wi-Fi. So through the data going from your mobile to the access point need to be secured, and this will be called the data link layer security. Then the data travel from the access point through the network, through the switches and routers to the other end. I believe also you are maybe familiar with the IP layer or the IP protocol. So this also there is a concern of a reply attack or the packet spoofing. So we need to have an IP security. Then we'll go to the transport layer. We need to secure the other or to identify, are we communicating with the right server or with a fraudulent entity. So here we need to have security at the transport layer, and this will be mainly for the web security. And then we'll have the application layer. We have different applications. We have the email security. We have authentication server security and web security as well, and other applications. We need to have more specific applications to secure them. And we'll give an example of the CarePros. And here we'll give an example of the SSL, and here the IPsec, and here the Wi-Fi equivalent protocol also will be discussed. So this will be a summary of what we are going to discuss in this short presentation. Usually, this course will take a brief. Every layer will have one lecture by itself, but here we'll try to give you an overview about the network security, and hopefully it will be with that condensed information. So let's try to first look at what the definition of authentication protocol. With the core of network security, you need to authenticate the two entities. So we'll use security protocol or authentication protocol. So the type of computer communication protocol or cryptographic protocol specifically designed for transfer of authentication data between two entities. It is the most important layer of protection needed for secure communication within the computer networks. All the IPsec, the SSL, and even all these will be considered as authentication protocol, because there is two entities, they need to authenticate themselves, and we need to establish trust between these two entities. If we look at I believe this the topic, the authentication protocol at different OSI layers. This more specific about what we are going to discuss, but I try to also link it to a wider domain, which is the network security. So we have the different layers, and here we have different protocols that will try to provide different type of service. So here the data link layer will try to provide network access authentication, while if we go to the network layer, we'll try to provide network service authentication. So here a mobile device wants to access the network. Are you authorized to access the network? or not. So I need to identify or authenticate you that you are allowed to access the network. Then if you are going to send the data through the network, also will have network service authentication, and this will be through the IPsec or the VPN, virtual private network. Then we'll go to the web service authentication. I need to buy something from Amazon. Is that server is Amazon or some fake, let's say, server? So I need to establish the trust. So there is also the SSL protocol will help you to achieve this. And I believe there is different applications that will require different security. So here we'll have application service authentication. So it will be designed for different application, and we will also try to cover them. So the first one, the data link, we call this also device authentication, while the other layers we call entity and message authentication as a service. So if we are considering the authentication, trying to differentiate between the type and the service. So let's go with the first layer, the data link. Let's look at the different, let's say, challenges within the wireless network environment. The first challenge, we call it the mobility challenge. So we have inter-provider and inter-technology. The inter-provider challenge that you may travel and you may change your provider. So you are in Indonesia and you travel, let's say, to Malaysia, and here you are changing your provider. How the other provider will trust you? So here there is a challenge of handoff between providers need to be considered and need to establish trust between the different providers. And also we have the inter-technology challenge. You are using your Wi-Fi network, and suddenly you go out of the building and you connect to the 5G network. There's also a security concern while you are changing the technology, and or also we call it any protocol design consideration. You need to, when you design an authentication protocol or a security protocol, how to deal with the inter-provider and inter-technology. If you change the technology, can you cope with this change and will not have any security concern? The second challenge when designing an authentication protocol for the wireless network environment, we have the mobile device challenge. We have limited battery and limited processing and memory compared to the desktop that will have unlimited, let's say, power source and a higher processing and memory. We need to consider the mobile device. They are need to have a lightweight protocol to deal with them compared to the so when designing the protocol, you need to consider the battery challenge and the processing challenge. Although the processing now of the mobile, they are increasing, but still the battery, I believe, still a challenge for these devices. The network, mobile network challenge, we have the low bandwidth and also the less reliability compared to the Ethernet connection. So once you are far from the access point, you will have a lower bandwidth, and also the reliability will drop, and you need to deal with this challenge as well when designing your authentication protocol. The local authentication, for the mobile security challenge, we have these devices could be stolen or could be lost, and you need to have local authentication where you have the PIN and secure the device and how to track the device to find the device once lost. And also we have the remote authentication. You are using the radio transmission, and as part of, I believe, the mobile network challenge, that we are using the anyone can spoof, let's say, the signal and may read your communication. So need to be secured compared to the Ethernet. So all these challenges need to be considered while you are trying to decide and trying to select the right protocol for the wireless network environment. Here, if this the classical design, how the wireless network will look like. So usually any wireless network, even if we talk about Wi-Fi or here we're talking about the wireless LAN protocol setup. However, this could be applicable also for the 5G network and most of the wireless network as well. The basic concept, you have the LAN. The LAN will be connected with an access point. This access point will have a shared key with the mobile station or with the laptops. So that's the typical topology of the wireless LAN, and I believe you are familiar with this one. So the concern when you send data from the mobile station to the access point, someone will interrupt this connection and may steal this information. So I need to secure the first layer. Maybe I give you a scenario that of the physical layer also security. So if we go behind this one, so here there is a user want to access the mobile or the mobile device or mobile station. So once this mobile has been stolen, you need to also have physical security to secure the data within the device. So maybe the first layer is to have the physical security by having a PIN, fingerprint, face recognition to secure your data. And I believe most of the mobile devices provide this service, and you back up all your data also on the cloud. So even if your device has been stolen, hopefully your data could be recovered after that. And the second layer is when you send your data from the mobile device to the access point, how I can secure this information and make sure that no one will have any sniffing or any interruption or session hijack and reading this information. And I believe we'll go to the network layer. So anything's going from the access point to the backbone of the network or to the other end, I need to secure it with the IP6 security. So here we have the physical layer, and here we have the data link layer security, and here we have the network layer security. This simplify how the network security is not enough at one layer. They need to be all that. Have any question you'd like to ask? So we have issue with the slides. Okay, so one of the old, let's say, one of the early protocol for wireless LAN security is the wired equivalent privacy protocol. This one of the early protocols, and they have some shortcomings, and there is a new protocols come, but we'll just give you an example how this protocol works, because most of the protocol will also similar to this same strategy, but with more secure algorithm. So designed by the IEEE, aim to prevent eavesdroppers and unauthorized connection to a wireless network. It's aimed to provide confidentiality, access control, and data integrity. So the basic concept, we have the wireless station, and you have the access point. Will send an authentication request, and then you will have the challenge response. You will be asked to enter your password, and once you able, that will allow you. But we'll talk about more about how this work in details. So usually you will have you will have a web key, and you will have also an initialization factor. This will change every time, and this will call it like, let's say, the master key. This will be used as a seed with the RC4 algorithm that will give you the key stream, and then you will have the plain text. You will also do an integrity check, and that will also be attached. And both the plain text with the integrity check will be encrypted using the key stream, and this will give you the cipher text, and the initialization factor will be attached. So the other end, so here a bit more explanation. Believe I will just convert it to PDF. I believe I have an issue with the slide, if you allow me. You see it as a full screen?
Yes, Professor, it's full screen.
That's good. So sorry for that technical issue. Let's continue. Hopefully, by PDF will be more smooth. Yeah. So here we I'll be explain this one. So here the basic concept: we have the original unencrypted packet with a checksum that will be you'll use the RC4 algorithm with the key, and you will also feed with the initialization factor. That will give you the encrypted packet with the initialization factor. So the basic concept of how the web protocol works, and here a brief will just give you more explanation about how the protocol work. So a bit the same as we have explained. To decrypt the message, so once you have received the encrypted cipher, you will the other end will get the initialization factor, and they should have the web key, the shared key. It's also called the master key. This master key will not be used and will not be shared. Need to be combined. So sorry if there is any question.
Kejunya kan 2, nih. Terus yang pandan kejunya berapa? 5 jadinya. Kan 4,3.
Yeah, thank you. If there is any question you would like to ask. Okay, so here you will get the key with initialization factor with using the RCP algorithm that will give you the key stream, will be used to decrypt the cipher text, and you will get the plain text, and you will do also a checksum to make sure that changed.
Kamu minta nggak tadi? Ya kan?
Yeah. I'm not sure if there's Any question? Okay, so here there is different algorithms will be used for the wireless security to protecting the data link layer. The web is not secure anymore. They can be break within 5 hours. Is using the, as you said, the RC4, and they don't have key rotation and this limitation. So the key will not be, you will not be able to update the key, and that's it. So you after a while you will start using the same key, and this will be a limitation. The key distribution manually typed into the each device, that's a brief part of the key rotation. Will not be able to because you don't have any key distribution automation, and uses the web key as also authentication. While here we have dynamic session key, so the key will be changed for every session, and we'll have automatic distribution also available. Now the Web 2 is the more secure because you're using the advanced encryption standard, and this the algorithms that's accepted by most of the countries. So now we finished the first layer, which is the data link layer. Now, so after that, we'll go to the network layer. So if we look at the network layer, so it's based on the IP6 security, and this will secure all the upper layers as well, but also will need a transport layer. After the IP6 security, we'll discuss the SSL, and then we'll give an example of the application layer. So now we'll try to go up to the layers, and hopefully that will give you an overview about how to provide network security to your organization or the entities that you're working with. The advantage of using the IP security that can secure the upper layers. So it will secure the transport layer because using anything that use the TCP or UDP, and to secure also the other applications. But again, that does not mean that you will not need the other layers security. The limitation with the transport layer will provide security for the TCP only, so UDP is not covered, and the application layer, I believe, will only be specific to suitably costly to apply application layer security, because you need to provide security for each application and for each service at that level. So IP security, I believe, the most efficient, let's say, but it will only secure the communication during the backbone of the network transmission. And I believe we have explained how if you're already familiar with the IP. So it's just while delivering the packets. So if we look at it's just the end-to-end security of the packets. So here we've explained what we have mentioned, why we need security at the IP level. So there is no need to change the software at the application layer, and there is no need to train the user. It's come at the background, and can be used to enhance the security when you user with the higher level application, and this will provide the defense in depth. We are providing security at a different layer, and that will can enhance the security of the firewall, because someone using IP spoofing, they can bypass the firewall. But if you implement the IPsec before the firewall, they will not be able to use the IP spoofing. Can provide better security for communication via untrusted network, and here with the virtual private network. And all this an example of the VPN. So IPsec is a VPN protocol, SSL as well, and also the SSH. Original authentication and confidentiality were not enforced at the IP level, and the IP address from the IP header can be forked and by the attacker, and cannot be ensured that the received packet was transmitted by the party intended or identified as the source of the packet. So that's why to address this, we need to have the IP security protocol. And the content of the packet can be inspected when transit, and there is no encryption of the packet. And the old IP packet can be replied. So reply attack also can be done without the IPsec. So what we can do, can provide authentication, integrity, and confidentiality. I'm not sure if you are familiar with these terms, but this called also the CIA. Just to remind you, authentication allowed the receiver to validate the identity of the sender and the client server machine or the process. The integrity provide assurance to the receiver that the transmitted data has not been changed, and the confidentiality prevent the unwanted disclosure of the information during transit. So let's define the IPsec. IPsec is not a single protocol. Instead, IPsec provide a set of security algorithms plus a general framework that allow a pair of communication entity to use whatever algorithm they decide will provide secure, appropriate for the communication. So maybe we'll have more details about the IPsec. So in most of the security protocols, they are using different algorithm, and they're negotiating the algorithm. The protocol is mainly how they communicate, defining the communication steps and the communication pattern more than a specific algorithm. And the algorithm can be changed. So we are not using one algorithm. Secure branch. So here, why we need the IPsec? Maybe you need to secure branch office connectivity over the internet and secure remote access over the internet, establishing external and internal connectivity with the partner, and enhancing the electronic commerce security. So before IPsec, if you have two branches, one, let's say the headquarter in Jakarta, and another branch in another city, so you will have a leased line, and this will be very costly to have a leased line. It's like you are calling someone, let's say in Saudi Arabia, by phone, or calling by Zoom or voice over IP. So that will voice over IP almost, that's free to call. But if you are going to call by your mobile, you are doing a leased line, and this will be very costly to call. And the same things with if you want to transfer data between the branches before the IPsec, you can it's like before the voice over IP. And that will be very costly. So here that they will have they call it the VPN, virtual private network, and this will provide this cost-effective and security in the same time. Secure remote access over the internet. Someone also traveling and they want to have remote access to their data or to the servers, I will also provide secure remote access with the same concept that's in the branch connectivity. Establishing extranet and intranet connectivity with partners. Maybe you'll have also vendors that you will also provide connectivity, secure connectivity with them. And I believe the electronic commerce, I believe the SSL will provide a better security compared to the IPsec. Here, a scenario how the IPsec works. Let's say that you will, here we have the server, and you want to connect it. Let's start with this one. This remote user want to connect with the server. So usually you will have the payload will be encrypted, and you will have the IP header, the IP address, and the IPsec header. So if anyone changed the IP address, there is another IP address already encrypted.
Hello.
Yes. You have question? That's good. So the other end will decrypt the IPsec header and will check and will compare if the IP header has been changed while in transmission. And also you will the IP securing IP load. No one can decrypt the content unless that they have the key to decrypt it. So here you will make sure that while you're sending the data through the public network, no one can read your data. And if anyone changed the IP address or spoofed the IP address, you will be able to discover. So the other end, here we have the network device with IPsec. So what this device will do will decrypt the payload. So here the payload already decrypted, and will decrypt the IPsec header and will compare it with the IP header. If it's the same, it will accept the packet, and here it will deliver the IP the packet to the right address to the server. It's the same thing here. You can see you may communicate with another device. It will do the same. This I summarize how IPsec works. So you will have also a library between the two entities. They need to so the IPsec will be pre-configured, and the two end here. Let's say we have the two networking device. When you configure this device, you need to agree on which key will be used for which service. So you will have security association database. You'll have security policy database. So if you are going to send a packet, I'm not sure here if there is a details. Maybe the longer version of the slides will show. There is they call it the security association database. Will show that if you are going to use a specific service, will use different security protocol, or sorry, algorithm. So you will use different algorithm. So you'll have security association pair with each service, and this part of the configuration of the two ends. So the issue with the IPsec is need to be pre-configured. So with e-commerce, this will not be able to be done, because if you are going to connect with, let's say, Amazon, or connect with other entities, you cannot pre-configure your device with Amazon server. So it need to be in the fly establishing the trust, and this, I believe, the SSL will solve this issue. So here, this will be very useful if you are going to do it with establishing trust with branches, with vendors, but not with e-commerce. So advantage IPsec is the most general way to provide security service to the internet with less constraints. Higher level security service may be less general and hence protect some single protocols. So here with the application protocol or application security, will provide security for only protecting the email, but will not provide security for web or for others. Lower level services protect single medium. So if you are going to do security at the data link, you will have one protocol for the Wi-Fi, another protocol for Bluetooth, another protocol for the 5G. So here you need to have a different protocol for different medium. While with IPsec is one protocol for all the IP level. So IPsec can, in general, protect any medium used below IP level and protect running any protocol running above the IP level. So considered as a more generic layer to be protected, and I believe that most of the concern come at the IP level. So it's very important also to protect this layer. So the next one is the secure secret layer. the SSL, and this will be mainly for the web security and for e-commerce. So the SSL will provide security for the TCP protocol, and will provide security for the HTTP, and this will become HTTPS after you apply the SSL. The history, there is a need for secure web communication, and it started with the Netscape. That's the first version was in 1994. They are worried about transaction, the credit card transaction over the web, how to protect the credit card information. Also, they were worried about the easy implementation. They wanted to be easy implementation, since they wanted this to be industrial standard, not just for specific entities. Establishing a session, agree on algorithm, shared secret, perform authentication. That's the main steps that you will perform for SSL. Agree on algorithm, so that both ends they need to have the same algorithms available with them, and then they will need to agree on shared secrets, and then perform the authentication. Transfer application data, ensure privacy and integrity. This they call it the message handshake of the SSL. So we have here the client and server. So there is 3 steps. There's one step called the negotiation, and then they have the shared secret, and then the handshake completion. And here you will have the key that will start secure communication. So with the negotiation, first the client will send, we call the client hello to the server. This this message will have algorithms supported. What algorithm do you have? So the server will select this algorithm. The server should be the one with the power, because if we give the power to the client may select a weak algorithm, but the server will protect their information and will make sure that they will select the secure algorithm based on their policy. Also, they will share a random number. The server will select an algorithm, will also share another random number from the server, and then they will also send an SSL certificate. I'm not sure if you are familiar with the certificates. They are signed by a trusted third party. So this will establish a trust between the server and the client. So once the certificate received, they will verify the SSL certificate and will make sure that they are communicating with a right server, let's say an Amazon server or a university server, and they can trust the server before sending any money or sending any credit card information. So they will use the trusted third party public key to verify the signature and the certificates. I hope that you are familiar with the certificate concept and the certificate verification. Otherwise, I believe you may read about the PKI, public key infrastructure, and how establishing trust through the certificates. You will extract the server public key. So within the certificate, there is a server public key to trust the public key of that server. And the client will use the public key to encrypt the pre-master secret key with the server public key. The server will use their private key to decrypt and get the pre-master secret key using the server private key. So here, if we look at the IPsec, if we look at the wired equivalent protocol, they are all using a symmetric key, a one key concept. While here we are using the asymmetric, the two key system. And this will help in establishing trust. Before the other protocols, they do a pre-configured session, but here we need to establish the trust in the fly. So this is the difference between each protocol and how they designed for specific purpose. Then the shared secrets, they will compute the pre-master key using the random number 1. So already the client have the random number 1, and they will already have the random number 2 and the pre-master secret. So now they will compute the pre-master secret or the master key secret, and the other end will be able to compute the same, or to generate or establish the same key. Now I believe this the handshake completion, they create a hash of the message using the master secret, and this will I believe now once they have the master key secret, then they can communicate and they can have a secure session, let's say, and they can send the credit card information and buy anything from the internet in a secure manner. So SSL is useful for building secure network and internet application. Both IPsec and SSL are useful for building VPN. SSL can be used to provide peer entity authentication, such as authentication between client and server or client-server software application. IPsec is useful to provide security between host and network. Different layers and different applications. IPsec can be used to enhance the security of the whole network when used with firewall or routers. SSL is designed to provide security mainly for client-server application. I hope that's clear. The application of SSL and IPsec, they are serving different applications and different services. So here more comparison between the IPsec and SSL. The configuration, IPsec considered hard because it needs to be pre-established, while SSL is just a handshake in the fly and considered easy. That's because the nature of SSL is to enable e-commerce, and you need to make it easy for anyone to trust any server and start any transaction. A client authentication here must, while here an option, but a server authentication with SSL is a must. Shared key here with IPsec, you need to have a shared key. Here you will use the public key to establish a session key or a symmetric key. The interoperability problem here, there is an issue that if you are going to configure the two entities, if you are using different operating system, this may exist. So we need to have the same system to establish the IPsec, while even if you are going to use while SSL using the browser. So even if you are using different operating system, this will not be an issue because you are the browser that will be used to establish the trust. The TCP application supports, that's all. Here some. The UDP also IPsec supports, SSL no. The throughput rates, both of them considered high because using encryption. Compression support, yes, only with OpenSSL. A handshake time considered as slow, while here and fast. A bit more also conversion between SSL and SSH. SSH is only for remote access. So if you are using Telnet, you are sending your information unencrypted. So it's good to have a secure shell encryption. And here, just information about what protocols, what applications that they are providing, and what authentication also they are using. Maybe the last one. I hope I'm still in the time. I know that's I should finish in 5 minutes, but let's go quickly about the application layer and an example of Kerberos. Advantage. Here executing in the context of the user, and here I know you need to establish trust between also the client and the user, and here an example of the IPsec, sorry, for the Kerberos. I believe will just give you the definition of the centralized authentication. Centralized server maintain all authorization for user, regardless of whether user is located and how user connects to the network. Different centralized authentication, you have the Kerberos, the Radius, and other application. Here, a typical model of the centralized authentication. You have the client and server, or they have the application server, and you have the authentication server. So we have multiple user and we have multiple application. How to establish trust between the user or the client and the application? The traditional way that each user will register with different application. Let's say you have at the university, let's say you have the library, you have the admission or the registration system, you have let's say, I'm not sure, other application within university. So you need to register with different application. But if you have an authentication server, that will establish the trust for you with different applications. Maybe here in Saudi, we have a system called Abshir. Once you register with that one, it will give you access to all the government servers. So the Abshir is playing the role of authentication server. And here you have different applications. You have the let's say here an example. You are using Gmail. You are using Hotmail. You are using Facebook and others. Now there is what they call it. We have the Microsoft passports that will establish the trust for you with other applications, and this using the concept of authentication server. So the basic concept, the client will register with authentication server, and the authentication server already have a pre-established connection with different application, and that it will play the role of trusted entities that will provide establish trust with different applications. Here, we have server should be able to restrict access to authorized user. We have server should be able to authorize request for services, and server should be able to provide single sign-on. So that's the concept of Kerberos. I believe here, trying to look at what the requirements for Kerberos. They want to provide security, reliability, transparent, and scalable. I believe we'll just, because of the time, we'll try to explain the concept of Kerberos. We have around 6 steps. The user need to request a ticket, granting ticket with the Kerberos. So the user need to be already registered with the Kerberos as authentication server. And here, once per user login session, they will request for ticket, granting ticket. The Kerberos server will reply with a ticket plus the session key. The user will request service granting ticket from the ticket granting server, and will reply with a ticket and the session key. And this will be once per the type of the service. And the user will request the service. Here, let's say you want to communicate with your library to borrow stuff. So here you will use this ticket to access your library. So your library will not bother about authenticating you. The library is just need a ticket that you are authorized to get access to the library services. And the library will provide you the server authentication, and this will be once per the service session, and you will be able now to communicate and get all the service you want from the host, and this will provide authentication service. Before or without this concept, you need to, every user will need to register with different hosts, and this will be very costly. I believe here more details of the algorithm. Because of the time, maybe you can skip this part, but if you are interested, you may look at how the protocol will works. And here it is called the interrelim. If you are, let's say, if you are from one university and you travel to another university, and the university they trust each other, so you may authenticate with your home university, and you will use a ticket to access another university services, let's say another university Wi-Fi network. And some university, they already have this agreement. If one of students travel from one university to another university, they will be able to use their Wi-Fi network using the interrelim concept. This the details of the protocol, but because of the time, maybe we will not be able to discuss it. But if you are interested, you may read more about it. It's very interesting. Most of the authentication protocols is based on the CarePros concept, and it's good to be familiar with. Comparing the SSL with the CarePros, the SSL using public key encryption, while the CarePros using the private key. Although there is an improved version of the CarePros now used also the public key, is certificate based, is rely on trusted third party, ideal for the internet, or ideal for a network environment. So mainly that's ideal for universities, for companies where the user will be authenticated once, and this will provide a single sign-on. I only authenticate you once, and then I will give you access to all the services. That will be more convenience for the user. The key verification require verification server to keep track of bad certificate. Here, the key verification can be accomplished by disabling a user at the authentication server. So here is more efficient to deal with the verification. Certificate sit on the user hard drive, even if they are encrypted, where they are subject to being cracked. The password reside in the user mind, where they are usually not subject to the secret. So different authentication, let's say, methods. User here they have patent for the SSL, while CarePros is an open source. This give you hopefully an overview about how to secure authentication protocol, or let's say the different layers of the OSI layers. And using different protocols to achieve different type of authentication and different type of services. And this, I believe, if you are interested, if you go to any network security book, I believe this will give you more details about how to achieve network security and also authentication at different layers. Just, I believe, here with the link layer, I give just an example of the Wi-Fi. But also there is other example of the Bluetooth security, and also the 5G also network. I hope that you found something useful during this short lecture. And this is the image of the College of Computer Science at Imam Faisal University, and hopefully you will visit us in future visit to Saudi.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abdullah, for the lecture and the explanation about the authentication protocols at different OSI layers. It is very insightful, actually, for us. Most of us currently at the 4th semester, and we've already taken a course about the OSI layers, but we did not talk enough about the in-depth of the authentication protocol. So it is very insightful to talk about it. We delve into several authentication protocols and service in its OSI layers, where network security needs to be holistic, since the approach towards its OSI layers also. So we need to approach each of the OSI layers to actually secure the whole network. So now we will start a Q&A session. The Q&A session is open for all participants, and participants can ask a question directly by using the raise hand button or via Zoom chat. Due to the time constraint, we already got the participant here to ask. Okay. Due to time constraint, the Q&A session will be open for 3 to 4 questions only. So for Hansen Dava, the platform and the time is yours.
Am I audible? Am I audible, guys?
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
yeah,
Hansen, can you?
audible.
Okay, sure. First of all, I want to say thank you, and I really appreciate a really big insight from Professor Abdullah. It is such a nice material for me to actually learn, and I also really interested in cybersecurity system. And the thing that I want to ask is actually about cybersecurity and some businesses. As far as I can concern, some businesses is actually already having some hardware or software to actually maintain their businesses, such as they have some website or they have some hardware such as computer or everything that will actually very vulnerable to the attack of cybersecurity, since they don't really have that much knowledge simply because they are small businesses or everything like that. There are two questions that I want to ask. First of all is actually, what is the basic requirements for some businesses or for some company to actually apply some cybersecurity methods as you mentioned before, such as SSL, TLS, or Kerberos, Radius, and TechX? What is the basic requirements for them to actually apply these cybersecurity methods? And the second of all, what is the main priority for some businesses to actually maintain their cybersecurity? What is step by step or more like a priority that they need to apply before they actually maintain all of them? Is that a fair question? Thank you.
Thanks, Hansen. Thanks for the questions, and also finding the topic interesting, and hopefully you will have the chance to read more and learn more about the topic. So regarding the first question about the companies, how they deal with cybersecurity issues and challenges, I believe the size of the company is matter. So for small companies, maybe they not afford to hire a specialist. So maybe they may go with an outsourcing. So they may use Amazon services. So they may use even everything will be put in the cloud using Amazon Cloud, and Amazon will provide the security service for them. But I believe once they become a big company, they need to have their own servers, their own policies. So I believe we'll back to the first slide I have showed to you. You see this one? Is that so? Here I believe you need to first assess the assets. What assets do you have within the companies? So you need to assess the servers, the computers, what applications, what network you are using. Do you need to have physical security? What policies and procedure and awareness need to be required? So we need to look at the security from a holistic approach. Usually they say the individual or the user, they are the weakest point, because when whatever technologies you put in place, they may open a backdoor, someone will attack you through this backdoor. So the security of the system is measured by the weakest point within the system. So you need to make sure you identify what the weakest point. Can I protect it? So if we give an example of let's say your house, maybe your house is very protected. You have wall, doors, everything, but there is a back door has been opened. So the attacker will not come from the front door. They will look at the back door to enter, and maybe all your house is secured, but this back door will give the attacker an easy access to your system. So we need to make sure what the weakest point. I need to understand what there is what they call it risk assessment. So I need to assess my risk. What is the and security, you will have, if you are interested, you may go to the ethical hacking certificate. That you need to think like the attacker. So the attacker, how they will attack you. You need to, in big organizations, they will have an attacker team, let's say, the red team, that they will always try to find vulnerabilities. I'm not going to wait until the attacker come and find the vulnerability. I have a team with me that they are scanning and always trying to find the vulnerabilities within the system. They will use all the attacker's tools, all the tools that will be able to used by the attacker. Is the system can withstand and stop these attacks or not? There is a concept in security. We call it the trade-off challenge. I need to balance between three things. To balance between the security, to balance between the functionality, and to balance with the costs. I may provide security, but with high costs. Maybe the company cannot afford the cost. Maybe the cost is more than the revenue, or you may restrict the functionality. So I need to make sure that also I balance the system. I need to understand. I'm trying to there is usually they will teach this material for 1 semester or 2 semester, but I try to give you some of the basic terms. There is terms called either that you will accept the risk or you transfer the risk. So sometimes accepting accepting the risk, there is a risk that I will try to defend that risk. I will stop that risk. But if I cannot stop the risk, I will transfer the risk. So maybe there is an insurance company. Once an attack happens, or else they will cover you. So that's usually with the banks. They cannot stop all the fraud with the banks, all the attacks. So if an incident happens, there is an insurance company will cover the cost. So we have this also a number of things. Here you need to look at a concept that called disaster recovery. I cannot guarantee that I will provide you with 100% secure system. So that's why I need to have a disaster recovery. In terms of a disaster, I can recover the system. At least I will lose the data for 1 day, 2 days, 1 week, but I will not lose all the data forever. So having a backup, having a disaster recovery is very important. End user education, the end user usually will open the back door. So I told you about the back door. So we are securing everything, and one will open the back door, and the people will attack you through this back door. So I need to provide user authentication, and because they are not aware about small mistake that could make a big, let's say, impact. There is also concept for access control using the encryption at the network layer mainly, and maybe even at different layers. I believe you need to secure the operation, the network, the information, the application. So security cybersecurity need a defense in depth. You cannot say I'm going to provide security with one solution. I hope I addressed your question, and thanks for the question.
It is such an amazing answer, and it is very great answer for me. Thank you, Professor Abdullah.
Thanks for the question. All the best.
Thank you, Professor Abdullah and Hansen. Okay, we still have time. So for the other participant okay, we have another participant that is already have a question for Dr. Abdullah for Arya Prasetya time and platform is you.
First, thank you for the amazing lecture, Dr. Abdullah. I want to ask, I currently writing about papers about how to implement blockchain in cybersecurity. Can you give me some suggestion how to implement it? maybe like how to use the decentralization or data encryption to cybersecurity using blockchain. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. So, yeah, mainly for the blockchain, you will not use a centralized entities to establish a trust. So you will have a chain of network that they will have they will use the blockchain to trust any data. So when you we'll try to give an example of let's say with specific we'll try to have the healthcare entities. We have different hospital. We'll use the blockchain concept. We'll try to see what the hospitals that you are usually associated with. So your data will be distributed to these entities. Let's say I'm dealing with 5 hospitals. So there's one concept that I'm using the centralized concept where all the data will be in the Ministry of Health, will be stored in one place, and all the hospital will connect to the centralized Ministry of Health. The other concept, I'm going to once I measure or let's say I have any health check, my data will be stored in all the hospitals, and that will be easy access. So usually it's based on the application. Do you need a blockchain, or I may rely on the centralized concept? So it's another way of establishing trust. Is it started with the Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin, when it started, they want to make they want to avoid the centralized banking. So the concept of relying on the concept of centralized banking, I want to have a network of trust, and everyone can verify the information. And if anyone have changed the information, the other entities will verify if this information has been changed or not. So is another concept of if I'm going to look at, there is with the networking, we have the client server communication, and we have the mobile agent communication. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the mobile agent. The concept that there is no need to communicate between the client and server every time. For example, if you are going to search for tickets, I'm going to connect with different server or different airlines checking for the price, or I can program a software mobile agent that will go and will visit all the airlines and come with me with the lowest price. So this another example and another application. There is no need to rely on one system, which is the client server, because it could be costly to use the client server. Will add an overhead in the network. It's the same as centralized data center and using the blockchain. So in some applications, you may need to use the blockchain, and you will not rely on centralized database. And the data could be distributed. So if I'm going to simplify, are you going to use a centralized model or a distributed model in storing your data? I hope that answers your question.
Thank you for the answer. That's really helpful.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you very much for the question, Maria Persita, and for another amazing answer from Professor Dr. Abdullah. Okay, due to the time constraints, we still have one quota for the question and answer. Okay, there is already a participant for Maizawa. Time and platform is yours.
All right, thank you very much for Professor Abdullah and also Miss Ibra for granting me the chance to ask a question in this lecture. I would also like to offer my gratitude to Professor Abdullah for this amazing lecture that you have hold for us students of Erlangga. So what I would like to ask is, oh no, actually I have few friends that majors in cybersecurity in other universities, and they often mention IP reputation, and I was completely lost when they talk about it. So, will Professor be willing to enlighten us regarding what IP reputation is and what affects it, and also what role does it actually play in cybersecurity? Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot for the question. But if you can specify again, I haven't heard it very well.
Oh yeah, so the question is, what is IP reputation, and then, what actually affects the IP reputation of certain companies, and also what role does IP reputation plays in cybersecurity? Thank you, Professor.
Thanks a lot. If the IP repetition, if I understand the question very well, similar to the IP spoofing, so how to verify that the IP address is belong to this entity and has not been changed. If we look at the IPsec concept, yeah, here. So the IP address is the if you are going to deliver a mail, you need to make sure that the payload will be delivered to the right entity and will not be lost in the communication. So you are worried about reply attack. You are worried about IP spoofing. You are IP repetition. So here, can we protect this IP address? The IPsec will generate another copy of the IP, and it will be an encrypted copy. So we will have two IP addresses, one encrypted and one not. In the other end, they will decrypt the IP, the encrypted version of the IP, and will compare both of them. Are they the same, or someone have changed the IP address? If they don't match, this means you are under attack, either a spoofing attack or a reply attack or other. So mainly a spoofing attack. Reply attack, someone will steal the packet and will try to reply and will try to interrupt the packet to get specific information. But again, this technique will help to stop any attack to the IP header. So they call it the IPsec, IP security. So any attack to the IP level or the IP header will be stopped using this protocol. So you may read more about the IPsec. Hopefully it will give you all the answer for IP concerns.
Yes, Professor, thank you very much for answering my question.
Thanks a lot. All the best.
Thank you very much, Marizawa, and the answer from the Dr. Abdullah. Unfortunately, due to time constraint, we need to finish the question and answer session with 3 questions that has been answered. Thank you for all the participants that is enthusiastic to ask about the domain of networking and cybersecurity. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will move to the next agenda, which is symbolic handover of speaker's certificate as our highest appreciation to Dr. Abdullah Mohammed Almuhaideb for the knowledge that is shared today through networking and cybersecurity course, authentication protocols at different OSI layers. For the committee, time and platform is yours. I'm sorry, before there's a technical problem for a minute, maybe please wait for a minute because of Professor.
Yeah, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you, Ibra, for the nice moderation of the session. I would like to thank all the audience for their participation and also for their engagement, and wishing you all the best in your future study and career, and wishing you always the best.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abdullah. So, committee, we have to take documentation for this sample canvas of guest lecture speakers for the committee. The time and platform is yours. Okay, for the documentation, I will count down from 3. For all the participants, please turn on the camera. And maybe you can pose a bit and smile for the camera. Okay, so I will start countdown. 1, 2, 3. Okay, another one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I think the documentation session is done from the committee. Once again, thank you so much, Dr. Abdullah, for the time and the knowledge that has been given to us. The certificate will be sent personally to your contact by the committee.
Thanks, Ibra. Thanks for and giving the chance to share the knowledge with the Indonesian community, and looking forward for future collaboration.
Although we are at the end of the class, do remember that there will be a present and feedback form for the participant, and that has been sent by the committee in the chat box. All the participants must fill the form to get the certificate that will be sent to each of participants' email. So before we end this class, ladies and gentlemen, we have the knowledge to bring you to understand more about regarding the networking and cybersecurity, and we hope that it starts a spark in each of participants to start learning about the cybersecurity. So thank you so much for the attendance, and our highest gratitude to Dr. Abdullah as our exceptional guest speaker today. So we will end this guest lecture. Good afternoon. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you in the next guest lecture.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abdullah. Bye.
Thanks a lot.